straight away, and straight go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this time we're going to do an intro.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are. Because
No, we're not. We don't do it no more,
we
man.
do.
Oh, you're breaking me.
Hello, welcome back to Just My Man podcast. Another podcast, another different venue.
Another different venue. You do an intro, then you?
Yeah,
Oh, here you go.
because that's why.
That's it. There you go then. Yeah, we are. We're somewhere else. We're in Goon. We're in Goon Barbers. In Merthyr Tydfil. We're above a gym, which is quite cool.
It is quite cool.
Yeah, I'm literally looking at them now out the window. All three members.
I wish I could have a donut just to eat or something like that. Just
What do you mean a donut?
I sometimes sort of hide my Gregs. And
Yeah, we are near to one of Merthyr's 6 Gregs.
That's true. That is very true.
And you get a prize if you comment and tell us where all the Gregs are without googling it.
I'll buy you a donut. I will buy you a donut.
I'll give you a toaster or something.
Could do. Yes, so we are back. Episode 24, I believe.
Jesus, wow.
24. We haven't done an episode for a while because we've just been busy and we have actually got lives, apparently.
So they say.
So they say.
I don't know about you, but yeah, it's been busy. I've been watching Merthyr Town
Yes.
become Champione.
Championes. I did
Go
put
up in the
last
league.
one. Yeah.
You've been running, which I may have mentioned. Because
Yeah.
you're a runner now.
I'm a runner now.
You were born to run.
No, I wasn't.
You're the running man.
Yeah.
Running on a dream.
We'll skip through that anyway.
Running on empty.
What have you been up to, Mark?
What have I been up to?
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of mental health stuff, I believe.
I have been doing a lot of mental health stuff.
Good.
Loads of mental health stuff. I know a mental health first aider.
Are you?
I am. I'm a
nice.
qualified mental health first aider. And yeah, I did a great day with Mental Health First Aid Wales and with the Samaritans.
Nice.
So that was very, very cool to get that insight from the professionals. I went to the Mental Health and Wellbeing show in Cardiff.
How was that? Was it?
That was very good.
Yeah?
Very good. Well worth it. And I saw some friends, some old friends.
Good.
But that was then.
This
This
is
is
now.
now. I've also been on my haircut. And where did I get my haircut, you may ask? Shameless plug.
I don't know. The
I
barbershop
had
in town?
it here in Goon.
Way!
Yeah, I actually did. He didn't cut my hair because he's far too busy. And he's quite elitist to try and get in with. But he's not really. He's very, very, very affable. But I'm one of the boys here. And yeah, I've been coming here. I've been coming here a while now.
good couple of months now, yeah.
And yeah, we just decided, shits and giggles,
Let's do a pod.
let's get Ralphie boy on. So,
Yeah.
Ralph
And welcome.
Beecham, boy.
What's up? All right, guys?
Very well. Very well.
Yeah.
Very well. This is a cool setting, man. I really like this place.
It's
Thank
cool.
you.
It
It's
is.
cool. Later on, we're going to do a barber off.
Are we?
Yeah,
Who's the subject?
you.
Ah, right.
You just don't know it yet. So, yeah, so, yeah, lots of us talking shit at the moment, which is easing back into it. So, Ralph, you
Yo.
cut hair
I do.
for a living.
I do. Very
Why?
fortunate.
A bit of an existential question, isn't it? Why? cut-
Why do you
No,
cut
but of
hair?
all the all the occupations and all the work, I always find kind of trades quite interesting. So, and I know quite a few barbers, and they all get into it for different reasons. But when I ask them, they always kind of come out with the same. Oh, I don't really know why. I just kind of fell into it. But I wonder how you fall into barbering.
For me, it was... So I sort of came out to school with nothing and just worked retail jobs, office jobs, this and that. Do you know what I mean? Low skill set kind of things. Never had any... I never grew up wanting to be anything. I didn't really have any sort of dreams apart from like wanted to be David Beckham. There were never any career goals through school.
Sorry. I didn't knock that off.
Yeah.
I thought it wouldn't pick up, but it's picking up.
Loud.
Yeah?
Knock it off.
Sorry.
We keep all this in.
We will keep it on.
This
It's
is in.
raw. It's raw and
Because it's
unedited.
raw.
Real, it's authentic.
It's like it's like Raw in 1993.
Raw 93.
It is. It's uncut. It's uncensored. It's raw.
Oh, we will get
So
it.
yeah. So where were you?
So yeah, I sort of left school, didn't have any sort of career goals, nothing, didn't know what I wanted to be. When I was in my, it didn't take until when I was in my mid-20s, and I like barbering started to become a thing, and it went from going to like the local unisex hairdresser to go into a barber shop, and I kind of like, I just sort of fell in love with that vibe and everything that it sort of offered, and that the difference it had to like a unisex hairdressers. I just remember, and then yeah, I just fell in love with it from there, and I wanted to go to college. But at the time when I went to college, I just remember thinking, it'd be cool if I could just cut some of my friends' hair over the house kind of thing. I never thought it would become a job, never mind a career, never mind having my own business one day. So it kind of like, yeah, since from college, it's been a mad 10 years to be fair, and I've just loved every second of it, and it was just something I just grew more and more passionate about. Sort of the better I got at it, obviously it took a long time. It was more having that, giving people something to be happy about. Do you know what I mean? It was giving back a lot to people, and it was, there was something like really satisfying about that. And I just discovered that I could just do it more and more, and just, I knew like as a teenager, I was more creative than academic, and I just fell under another form of art that I sort of really enjoyed. Like I got like a bit of history of playing music. Like I was even in school, I was sort of like in like local production companies doing like a little bit of like amateur theatre acting and stuff, and then music, and then it's just like another art form. And I quickly realised, right, I'm very much a creative person rather than an academic person.
So in terms of those early trims, what were they like? And I say that as someone, Jordan, I don't know about you. I say that as someone who has gone into a college environment and offered my head
as a test subject,
as a practice piece.
Okay.
I had a friend I used to work with who was in Cardiff and Vale, and I went after work one night. And in total, 9 people cut my hair in the single night. So yeah, but I always think it must be quite daunting when you first have someone's actual head.
I remember that, yeah, because I learned down in Swansea, because I was working down here at the time in the DVLA. It just fitted with my schedule. It was nothing like, none of the courses in the valleys fitted with my time for getting home from Swansea and stuff. So I was down there, and yeah, we started on like the plastic heads and everything. And to be honest, like I always say this, I was the first person in the class that he met. I remember the tutor saying to, right, you could start bringing people in. And I remember thinking, no one ever wanted me. No one ever asked me first in school. I must be doing something right here. And I remember like, so yeah, I'd asked like a couple of people from the DVLA, and like boys came over. If I went on my MySpace now, my Facebook, and scrolled right back, there would be some Perla haircuts on there, like some bad stuff. Like,
well, yeah, because it's 10 years ago. Like, what were the end cuts 10 years ago?
You still had like, it was just skin fades were obviously there, but I couldn't do one for love nor money. But it was all, it was like nothing has really changed much. So it's just far more creative now.
Yeah.
Like you've got more like different styles of fades.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
like mullets are getting bigger. And
Mullets
like, I
are
do really
huge,
enjoy doing like more creative hairstyles as well.
You know, like an absolute, like a nightmare trim. Like if you had like an absolute, like I cannot believe I've just done that by accident.
What's going on with you? Like, I remember 2 old friends of mine, the first time they came over my house, and they were like the first cuts I had done outside of college, unsupervised, and I just completely botched them. I had the complete wrong idea. I just completely getting at it the wrong way, and it got to the end, and I was like, wait, that's not how it's done, is it?
And that's the thing with hair, innit? When it's off, it's off.
Well, yeah,
Like,
it
when
grows
is it?
back, like, but
Yeah,
you've
but
got to
like-
hibernate for that amount of time.
But but the reason I is you know, like I said, I don't believe the individual that the reason I went to Cardiff and Vale College, I don't actually think he cut hair anymore.
Oh.
But I remember part of it was that it started, and rather than him going straight to get the tutor, he'd ask another one of the people in the class. And he was like, "Oh, does that look right?" And like the line on the back of my head was a bit of a squiff. So then obviously the individual, oh, well, no, just bring the line up.
Oh.
But then they brought the line up so that ended up like this seesaw of kind of get it. And then in the end, by the time that they finally got around to the tutor basically shaved everything from the right way off.
Wow.
Tidied up as best she could and kind of said, "Listen, we normally charge £5 I'm not going to charge.
Use
you know,
£5.
I'm really sorry, but I really felt for him because you could see that he'd be, you know, that again, because like when you've got someone in that chair, they had kind of put in their trust in you with their image and confidence and whatever it may be to kind of deliver on a service. And I'm always remember feeling really, really gutted for him because he was so excited that someone had agreed to go. And then the fact then that multiple people had to get involved in that, and he was a bit gutted. He kind of, he you know, like I said, I felt for him. So
it can be very disheartening, and I still feel the pressure now that like hair is so precious to a lot of people, because it is part of their identity. It is me as well. Like I like my hair. My hair is like it's an accessory to me. Like I sort of like wear rings and a necklace, and it's part of me and my identity. Do you know what I mean? And I want it to reflect who I am. Like some people don't think like that. Some people are happy and they're just like, oh yeah, whatever, you know, where does he have his easiest?
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people, it is a massive part of their identity. So there's a lot of responsibility then to keep that and make sure they're happy. Do you know what I mean?
Do you feel that you've got an extra kind of responsibility out of in your own shop as regards to working for someone? Because it's your reputation, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
You know, if you were working down Joe's Barbers down the road and you've done a shitty haircut, it's like, yeah, you'll have the repercussions from it, yeah, but it's not as damaging if it was your own shop sort of thing.
One thing I always sort of said was, if you had like a bad barber in a shop, see, I got 3 barbers here with me now. If one of the boys did a bad trim, that person wouldn't go out and say, oh, don't have a haircut by him at Goon. They would say, don't go up Goon. It's just the whole, everything under that umbrella.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah.
But then when you work for someone else, it deflects that accountability as well. Then.
Absolutely.
So if they were to do a bad cut under someone else's name, it's like, well, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They wouldn't pinpoint that barber, they pinpoint the barber shop.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that because it was the night before I was going to go to New York to go and get engaged, and I'd been going back and forth this particular barber shop for quite a while, and I went in on the Saturday morning and I'd started having my hair cut by someone else. I preferred how they'd have my hair, and for whatever reason they were busy, and I just needed a cut. So the owner ended up doing it, and he used to cut my hair previously, and it was just a botch. It was just like but it was to the point where, and as you know, I'm not, like backward and coming forward, but I was so like, oh my god, I just gave the money and walked out. And then I remember going like and being sat there thinking, I can't go away, like I can't look like that, because it was absolutely awful.
That bad.
And fair play, the boy who usually cut my hair actually offered to open the shop late, like at 10 o'clock in the night, that evening, and had me in with the shutters down and tidied everything up as best he can. Said, listen, he said, I'm sorry for not being here earlier, but I always remember, like you said, about like identity, and like I've never been one for like my hair or whatever, but I remember thinking, I can't look like that.
No.
That's not, so, yeah, okay.
So Going back then, rewinding the clock a bit before all this happened, going back to your younger days then, was there any sort of inclination? That's the one, thank you. Of mental health in sort of your world, or was it just a case of, well, obviously, if we're going back, I don't know, more than 10 years ago, mental health was, like we've said it before, wasn't really around.
Yeah.
So was there any sort of like bad behaviours or sort of thing?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It was obviously my lack of awareness of mental health issues.
Yeah.
As it is a lot of people, like you said, 10 plus years ago,
Yeah.
no one really knew. So it was just, you look back and realise a lot of the decisions you make were based just on poor mental health and how it affects your behaviour.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to handle it.
No.
So you lash out in these irresponsible ways and make these bad decisions in your younger years, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like I remember, a perfect way to describe it, I went to see, there was a spoken word thing with Sean Ryder from the Happy Mondays not so long ago. I went over to see in the Coliseum and he said he was diagnosed with not quite mental health, but he's diagnosed with autism and ADHD at the age of 50. And he said when he was a kid, there was no such thing as autism and ADHD. You were just considered a bit of a knob for the things you did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was very much, again, this is like an accountability thing. Do you know what I mean? But then as you get older then and you discover and learn more about mental health, you start to put the pieces together on why those behaviours happened. And I think that's maybe where I've become a better person then over the last sort of 10 years since I became aware and I was able to make those changes to myself and my lifestyle.
Yeah. Was there a key point where you turned that sort of corner?
I really remember first becoming aware of it when I was sort of getting into barbering and I had my first job, but it was only like 2 days a week. And because of my situation at the time, I had a mortgage with an ex at the time, so obviously I still needed the security. So I was working in a company down in Swansea. I suppose I can name it. It was the DVLA. It's not like they're going to name and shit. No,
They're not going to watch this
after me. They're not going to listen. But it was the more I sort of got into barbering and enjoyed that kind of freer lifestyle, it made me realise how sort of much like the DVLA and working at like a corporation like brought me down. And that's when I became aware of like being really sad and having these days of terrible anxiety. And then more and more then I wouldn't want to go into work, and like I'd miss Christmas parties because I just couldn't face getting out of bed. I'd wake up in tears at the thought of going there. And then that's when things started to click and I started to look into mental health and realise, right, this is not just me wanting to do this. This is actually like something that's really affecting me.
Yeah.
And I'd be able to see like the grass is greener sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people would love to have that kind of, I wouldn't call it a skill, but most of the people that we know about mental health, it takes a big sort of, a big...
It's like a breaking point, it's like a tipping point.
Well, yeah. And it's normally, at some point in their life, it is a big, I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but... Event, that's it. So it is a big event that it changes this, it turns the corner, or it clicks in the head going, hang on, but you've done it in a nice subtle way that, yes, you have to go through that, I don't want to go to work, I really don't. But then you've noticed that yourself, and you've come around, and you've just gone with it, and you've learned about it.
Completely sort of changed my life. And yeah, like I said, I came out of school, just worked like sort of retail offices, admin, etc. And it's only when I came into like a creative outfit then of barbering that I realised that life wasn't for me, and I was just kind of just accepting that was it then, this is my road kind of thing, and I can't achieve anything I want to achieve. But then I don't know, like you sort of come out of school and you're expected to know exactly what you want to do. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like that pressure on you, especially I think more maybe now, like more now people, like kids are told to sort of flourish in any field, but I think back then it was very much
you were
school,
pigeonholed depending on your academic level, your behaviour level. where you were from.
Yeah.
I've spoken about the Valley's mentality many times, there was the idea, you know, you're from the Valleys, you work in the Valleys, you'll die in the Valleys.
Yeah.
You will go and you'll work in a shop, or you'll work in a factory, or you'll work in something that's menial. You'll go on your holidays for 1 week or 2 weeks a year, all inclusive, somewhere in Spain. You like it, you'll have a family, and that'll just be
That's it.
And, you know, you'll have your wake will be in a labour club or a pub, and that's just how it'll be.
Yeah.
And I do agree. I think that it is a fairly recent thing in the last, 5-10 years, where the promotion around kind of being yourself, finding what works for you, thinking outside the box, moving away. You know, I remember when I was going to university many moons ago, and it being, afterwards saying, there's a job in Cardiff, and people say, why do you want to go to Cardiff to work? Because there's nothing in Merthyr.
Merthyr, yeah. Because
there's nothing for me here. But almost kind of being chastised and kind of made to feel, do you think you're something special, do you? You think you're better than... That would not. No, I don't think I'm better than people working in refuse collection. I don't think I'm better than people working as a cleaner. I just think I got skills that I can do something else with, or I got a desire to do more.
Yeah, exactly.
So I 100% I agree with that. And I think as well, you talk about like workplace well-being, and the idea of presenteeism is really big at the moment, where the damage that it does not only to an individual but also to a business, to have people who are present but they are not present. No. They may be there in body but they are not there in mind and spirit, and that's a real issue, because people, as you said, just kind of tumble through and think, I'll get up, I'll go to the office, I'll put up with the politics and the thing is, I think because of the environment you were working in as well, because they do come under like a civil service role. It is a branch of government, and they are notorious. Those particular Department of whatever, Department of Health, Department of Transport, they do have these really negative connotations of kind of workplace culture and that. So it's difficult.
It's all just so target driven, and
you probably had loads of people
on our manager, and then that manager's work reflects on that manager. So
they'll come down harder on you.
Whip you because it'll reflect on them. Doesn't matter how it makes you feel. They'll hit you down to the ground as long as it gives them the numbers that makes them look good to their manager, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and the irony, I suppose, and which is good for you, but you were probably in the very similar boat to a majority of your colleagues, but you just had that little bit more resilience to think, I got to do something else. Whereas there's other people who, as you said, will just kind of roll over, or they victim of circumstance, they feel like they can't leave, or that they shouldn't leave, or and for some people it's this really toxic thing with it's safety, and like I said, it's kind security. So I couldn't just pack it in when I discovered barbering and sort of fell in love with it when I started working, because I needed that secure income to keep that roof over my head as well. So there is that for some people. Some people, they just, whatever their situation may be, it is a case of like, right, my hand is forced, I need to work, and that's it. Could it something that you kind of not kept quiet, but kept close to your chest when you first started, in case it didn't go anywhere? So you thought, I better, because I gotta watch my back in work. I don't want to be seen that I'm showing my attention to something else.
No, to be fair, I think because I just hated the place so much, and I didn't get along with anyone, and I just outcast myself so much from there. I didn't really do a lot of work. It was like they made the stupid mistake of introducing Wi-Fi there, so that's when I absolutely blitzed Game of Thrones for a few years. So thank them for that, to be fair. But no, I was always like, I will get out there, and I'm going to be more than this. I'm a barber, and even to like they had like this sort of like an internal internet, and like people would just sort of like sell bits on there, stuff like that. And I even advertised on there. I'm practicing to become a barber. If anyone wants a haircut, let me know, and I can arrange stuff. And I went to a couple of people's houses who worked there because they sort of email me and say, "Oh, you're the boy that does the haircut." So it was a couple of times just dotted about Swansea doing £5 haircuts and stuff like that. So although I pushed it as much as I could on every avenue, I knew it was exactly what I wanted to do once I had a taste of it. Yeah. And I thought nothing was going to stop me at that time.
So, bad decisions.
Oof.
Of which there were a few. How bad are we talking?
Nothing out of the ordinary too much, do you know what I mean? Dabbled in a bit of this and that I shouldn't have. I've maybe disrespected ex-partners in a way that I shouldn't have, all that kind of stuff. Just really just me first, nothing else matters. And just pretty much wouldn't say no to anything. Like I said, I got involved like playing music from like 16 onwards, and like bands I played in, we kind of like went around Britain a little bit. I'd like been around Europe a little bit. So then that kind of rock star ego comes into play then, and you want to do all the things your rock stars do. Do you know what I mean? So there was quite a bit of that as well. And then you look back and realise how many people you hurt along the way, and realise it was all just to be selfish and just to try and put yourself on this pedestal and just push my own ego. You know what I mean? And try and make like just wanted to be all those things that are just not good at all. And it was like, yeah, just sort of pushed a lot of friends away as well. And it was very much just pure, just selfishness. And I just did what I wanted, when I wanted. Didn't matter who I hurt at the time, because it didn't even engage in my brain that I was going to hurt person B, person C.
Yeah.
It was just me and nothing else. So yeah, people came in and out of my life a lot, like in my younger years during all that time. And then it took years later then, when I became a far more loving person, I like to think so, that I realised like I hurt a lot of people on the way, and it was people that didn't need to be hurt, and it was people who supported me and loved me, and I was willing to just throw them under to get what I wanted.
Were there kind of reparations made then? Afterwards, like have you said?
I've held my hands up a lot of times and like admitted to a lot of my faults. Like I got a lot of those friends are back, and one of those friends who I threw away is now my wife.
Oh wow!
So I fixed that. I built that bridge quite well, to be fair.
Very well. Back in the big bed in the biggest way.
Yeah, I went straight in the big bed, to be fair. But no, yeah, it was people who I call my closest friends now, and yeah, like I said, my wife who. She absolutely despised me. You talk like 17, 18 years old. I was like, to her, I was the scum of the earth, in all fairness, like the things I did. She's a very respectful woman. But she, like the way I was living, as she said back, she was like, nobody really respected me in the things I did. And that's where everyone just kind of like took a step back away from me then. And I realised I had nothing left at one point. And I was just like, right, I got nowhere to turn anymore. Like something needs to change.
But in your head, you're just doing this.
No, I was just going.
That
Yeah,
ladder of
they were
of
behind. They were behind me,
be.
and I didn't have eyes in the back of my head in that mindset.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So when you say about kind of that realization that you're on your Todd, and that the people that, as you said, you know, or my words, not yours, just to be there, but kind of that you've steamrolled over to make your way up the top of this mountain that only you know where the peak is.
Yeah.
What does that valley look like compared to the peak?
Now it just looked so much. It was dark at the top because it was just lonely. Like I think the big turning point, I think, was it all sort of just came crashing down. Like I was engaged once before, and then when we broke up, I had nobody to put my shoulder on, or to nobody's shoulder to rest my head on, and that's when it was kind of. I was left with my own thoughts then, and I had like a really terrible period after that where I just went down a really dark path, and I realised like this is not the way I need to be going. I've got no one around me, I was sort of hanging out with the wrong crowds a little bit then as well, and it was like I still had a bit of a like common sense about me. So it took for me, like I managed to realize myself, like this isn't good. I need to stop this now, and I need to sort of rekindle all these relationships, because it was just me on my own. And again, I was just steamrolling to the point where I couldn't steamroll anymore because there was no one to steamroll. I was just on my own. So this ego in this mountain, it was just pure loneliness. And I looked back down and everyone was still there. And I had to sort of I had to come back down and try and find my way in.
Was there ever a period when you were saying to kind of being in that place, in that dark period, was there ever kind of a period of time where you thought, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore? Was there ever that kind of ideation?
Those thoughts did come across, yeah. And it was more, it got to a point where I was like, nobody kind of likes me, no one respects me, I've lost everything, what is left, what's the point?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
How did that feel?
Oh, that's low. It's dark. I'm sure a lot of people know that feeling, but it's like you said, it's when you fall back and it's really, you keep crashing, no one's caught you, and no one's gonna catch you. And that's when you sort of, it's only you that can pull yourself back up. And you've got to stop yourself from crashing to the bottom then.
Yeah.
And pull yourself up. And like I said, it was me that had to rekindle a lot of those relationships because I'd broken so much down that I literally just had to build it all from scratch by myself then, and earn everyone's trust back basically then, and get myself into a better position.
Do you ever look back at that Ralph, at that person, and kind of you wouldn't recognize him if you looked at it in like a mirror? You wouldn't know it's the same person.
Not in a million years. It's absolutely not me anymore. Like I like to think, like I say, I'm loving him open. I've always got like an open door policy here, open door at the home. Like my wife has taught me a lot about mental health in that time as well. Like she's a huge part of shaping who I am today. And a lot of my friends now say I'm just like such a different person to what I was all those years ago, and how much better person I am, and just how much they can just approach me for anything now. And I like to think like barbering has been a key in it as well, as my knowledge of mental health and being able to like give back and help people not be in that position I was, and to stop people from steamrolling and throwing everything away, and sort of making people realize these people might not come back. If you chuck them out, they might not come back at all. And then what happens then? Like I said, they'll fall, and then there's no one's going to catch them either.
And I think you're in quite a unique, you're in a unique space, aren't you? Because absolutely, when you've got someone in the chair, for all intents and purposes, you've got a captive audience.
Yeah,
both ways, because you can't finish until you finish the trim, and then they can't just get up and leave until they've had their head.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity. It's that rare opportunity that someone sometimes gets to have that 20 minutes, half hour and 45 minutes if you were calm. I love you, really. But it's that rare connection. It's that opportunity to connect. And I suppose that over the last 10 years, you've viewed all sorts come kind of up at you out of the chair.
Everything over the years. And like I said, it's been like 10 years now since I first got into it, and I've made some like really, really close friends, some really dear friends that I've made through the journey of this industry, and I've helped those people a lot, and those people have helped me a lot. And in like the different environments I've worked in, that has also taught me a lot about like maintaining like my mental health, like having like a healthy work-life balance, which is also something else then that I can sort of express to people who are feeling like the stresses of work and stuff, and I can give my experiences of when I felt burnt out, because I like, as much as I love barbering, it is still work, and there are still days where I get up and I don't want to come to work. I'm very, very blessed to have this job and to have my own business and everything, but it is still that work element, and there are days where you don't want to get up and come here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's knowing that when I come up here, I could, the thing as simple as a haircut can completely change someone's perspective. Like I've had boys coming in here at the end of their wits, and that's all it takes is, right, I'll put some coffee on, sit down, let's cut your hair, let's get it all out, and by the end of it, they're a completely different person.
Yeah.
It's just, to a lot of people, it's more than just a haircut. It is like,
Yeah.
a lot of people say, like, it's literally, it's
Basically,
free, it's a 20 quid therapy with a free haircut.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And you've got to kind of be you've got to be mindful of the triggers and the things that people come out with to go, oh, hang on, that's
It's a skill.
Finding
Yeah,
all those
it's a
telltale
skill,
signs of, right, okay, that this person's struggling.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes a special kind of person to do that, because you go to somewhere. I'm not saying that other barbershops or any hairdressers could do it, but I think some people just gloss over the fact, and sometimes they're in the zone of cutting your hair. They know they got about 20 million people behind them. They want to just get you in and out.
And I think that we're for me anyway, I think we're past that point of, what do you think of the weather then? Going anywhere nice and
You're going on holidays this summer.
I think you've still got hairdressers and barbers who do that, but I think now there is like here, and I'm not just saying, you're quite blessed in that you're quite finely tuned. You're tuned into the people who are in the chair, and to gauge of, all right, this is going to be someone who's willing to talk. This is someone who probably wants to talk. This is someone who they just want their haircut.
Yeah.
They don't want any of the nice stuff. Because I said, I think I mentioned it to you the other week, where I was saying that there's, I saw that there's a barber shop somewhere in England, and they're promoting themselves, and that they've all gone and done mental health first aid courses.
Right. Okay.
With the purpose of is that the barber chair is basically like a mental health hub.
Yeah.
So when you're sat in that chair, they're kind of trained to talk.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, I think just having the first-hand lived experience as you have, and the awareness and the willingness to say, listen, everything all right? How are you feeling? Oh, I'm all right. Yeah, but how are you really feeling?
Yeah. How are you coping? Is another good thing. Is like,
I
coping.
think it's really special.
Sorry to butt in, but
No, it's fine.
it's like, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. How are you coping with life, with stuff? It's a different. It means the same, but it's totally different when you actually tell them cope.
Well, yeah, I did a thing the other day, and it was a scale, and it was basically like your emotional strength scale. And down the bottom end of the scale, you've had that you're barely coping, and up toward the top, then you're coping very well.
Ah, okay.
And they said, like, the thing is there's no point in putting a number between 1 and 10, because it'll mean something different for different people.
Yeah.
But if you could say, I don't know, I'm 6 out of 10. All right, okay, so what does 6 out of 10 look like for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is your 6 out of 10?
What's your 6 out of 10? Because your 6 out of 10 may be very different to mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's great, that you're kind of in a position where you can have those conversations, and that you can market yourself selfishly. That you can market yourself in that way as well. That it's a safe space, because I always talk about safe spaces, and I'd like to think there's lots of them. I'm not as convinced that there's as many as I thought there were, or that I'd like there to be. And again, it always sounds like I blow smoke whenever we have guests, and I like bum the guests. But a lot of the guests, all the guests I have, because I have respect and a lot of time. But when I come in here to have my hair, when I come through the door, it's a safe space, and I feel very safe and very welcome. And I can sit there in front of that mirror, and I feel like I can just unload. And I've had conversations with Cameron that I would probably have with a therapist. And I've got stuff off my chest that I've needed to, and then if I hadn't have, I would have carried it on. I would have taken it home, or I would have gone into work, or
and then we just sort of sit there.
Yeah, whereas
for
that
just a little bit
opportunity,
too long.
and it's literally within the first 5 minutes of being sat down. It'll be like, right, what's happening then?
No, there is something about just. That is definitely one thing I try to push here, is just that sort of like that safety and like everyone's welcome, and I like to try and stand out from a lot of the other barbershops kind of thing. Like, I know it's a huge thing, like mental health in barbering, but like I really try to like practice like how safe a space this is, and like everyone's welcome. And there was like a period, like, so I've had like the shop extended, but before I had it, it was just me for like 2 years. And in that time, that was where I really learned a lot, because it was where people could confide in me a lot more, because it was just me and them. Obviously, it's more of like an open door thing now, because I've got like the other boys here and everything. But what I'm trying to sort of like put across now is that it can be healthy for us all to talk about it. Yeah. But then there are always fine margins. Like you don't just want to like scream it out to everyone. And I get that kind of thing. There's obviously like, you might be in here and I might have like a new client and you might think, oh, I don't know, I don't quite feel so comfortable saying like certain things. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, that you've got the added challenge of where you're based.
Well, yeah,
because you are definitely a hurdle.
You are literally based in this kind of very male-dominated, very alpha, very confident space. And in order to get to the safe space, you've kind of got to go through that. So I think, you've got that challenge as well, but I think you do it very well, because
that was something I knew I had to tackle. It was definitely one of the, when I was weighing out my pros and cons, it wasn't so much a con, but it was, right, this is definitely going to have an impact on certain people who you'll be conscious enough anyway going into like a new barber shop. I know, like I said, everyone's welcome. I cut male hair, female hair, so particularly for certain types of more vulnerable people. Yeah, walking into a gym is daunting enough anyway. Yeah. Walking through a gym you don't plan on using at all to go to the barber shop that's upstairs is twice the task.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I did have a kind of an anxiety when I got out the car. Yeah, because I walk through all that now. And it's like, ooh.
That's where you got me. I don't know if you, but
I can't.
But I was to say, like, me and Jim's have got a really, really complex relationship. I don't like people called Jim, but it's because I would go back and forth to a gym, but I had a safety net in that I had a mate who got married in the same way you did, and that was my safety net. When that's a real foreign land for me, because I don't look like someone that goes to a gym, because I don't. I'm that person that's saying, oh my God, they're all looking at me, even though a majority of them are looking at themselves, literally like looking for reflective surfaces. Because they work hard. They work hard to look that way, and it's a lifestyle, and that's awesome. But the first time I came here, and I remember thinking, is it like tacked on, or is there separate? And I was like, and it's only like a couple of foot. It isn't even like you've got to walk through the gym. You've only got to walk a couple of feet. But I'm like, that's enough. Because as soon as you walk in, the heads come up.
Yeah. That's all it takes. It's like meerkats.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh shit! Right, okay. And like last week, it'll be last week now when we're recording. It won't be last week when it's out. But my son had his haircut here, second time, thanks to Nathan. Awesome job, Nath. And obviously, because the way it was working, I needed my haircut after. My boy's not going to sit still and wait for me to have my haircut. So my wife ended up having to come here. And I kind of purposely didn't tell her the route in, because I knew, because she's not the biggest fan of that environment and eyes on.
It would manifest more then.
But as soon as she left, she said, and I'm not just saying it, you can measure yourself. She literally said, it was a really cool little shop. She said everyone was so welcome, and I felt really like safe as soon as you walk through the door. And that's someone who weren't even having their haircut.
Yeah.
So I think, it's the vibe's there. The vibe is definitely there.
I think one thing I think is quite sort of helps you sort of feel like you escape from that gym is the fact that you don't see this here, and then you come up here and it's just like a completely different world.
Yeah.
I think with the way I've sort of
very
designed
much
it, the gym is very like spit and sawdust. It's old school,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's proper old school clunking iron, and then you come up here and it's just my little sort of creepy punk haven, do you know what I mean?
Well,
it's just like it's
yeah,
quirky,
and
I just wanted it colourful and just it just is a reflection of me and my personality, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I wanted to put across. And again, it's like because it's like higher up, is once you're in here, obviously apart from the music, you escape that there, do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I agree, and we're both big wrestling fans, and then as a wrestling analogy, a WrestleMania 1 analogy, downstairs is very much like Hulk Hogan and Mr. T, and in here it is like guest timekeeper Liberace, because it's very different. But I think that contrast it does help you, because it does set you apart. Say, listen, that's a different world. That world stays out there.
I think when people come in new, I think they just instantly forget what was there, because it's just like, cool. Like not in like a braggy way, but like almost everyone who comes in your first time goes, "Oh my god, this shop is amazing!"
I walk to the door and then I'm like, "Oh!"
I love that, because like I said, like again, my wife was a big part of helping design this. Like she's like an interior mastermind. But I just knew it just had to be a reflection of me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then, when people come in every day and they're like, "Oh, this place is amazing," they instantly forget what that was behind them then. The gym that they just kept their head down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So for the listeners then, kind of describing the room, it's... the floor is... What would you call the floor? Like
It's checkerboard. Isn't it?
checkerboard. Black and white checkerboard. And just... pop of colour when you come in. It's literally you're met with bright pink and turquoise.
I think.
Yeah, but you've got
Coloured
nice
balls.
big mirrors. You've got a singing fish above the door. You've got some
fish.
plants. You've got some artwork.
I got a WWE Championship
There
belt,
is.
which is up
There
for
is.
anyone who tries to challenge me. Bring
There
it on.
is.
Like I said, open door policy, 24/7 championship.
And there's soon to be more for you as well, because I can't. I've moved house, and I got nowhere to put them. So I'd like him to.
This is going to turn into a WWE shrine.
I'd like him to have host here. But yeah, it's just a cool space.
It is a cool space. I'm guessing people can look at it on your Instagram as well.
Yeah.
Pop along to what's your Instagram handle?
Goon Barbers at Goon Barbers on Instagram.
Oh, we are.
Where did the name come from?
I was asked.
Well, you didn't.
Um,
You didn't ask.
No, I was going to ask. I said.
I wanted something that was going to stand out. So I want to push this into a brand. I don't just want it to be a barber shop.
Okay.
So when I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't want to call it Ralph's Barbers, Beecham's Barbers, because it kind of pigeonholes it, and I feel like I can't put that on anything else then. Do you know what I mean? Specifically where Goon came from then is... like there's an ice hockey connection. Sort of goon is like another term for an enforcer, which completely against the grain of everything I just talked about are the violent, aggressive fighters in hockey.
But there isn't a free, and I'd like one if possible. By the next time I come in for a cut, if you could have a framed photograph of former WWE wrestler the Goon.
Ah, yes, of course.
Because
That needs to come up here. So there was that. And I just thought it was like...
Goon smash you.
When I thought of it, I was like, it's quite cool. Goon, I've got this sort of connection to ice hockey. It's obviously got like a little bit of a connection to like, old school gangsters. Like you'd have like hired goons and things like that. But again, I just thought it was
It's
a cool
also off
word.
the wall, isn't it?
It's just
off the wall. And
you just don't expect it. I had like a couple of different ideas, but something just shone when I thought Goon, I just really loved that, and I just thought I can literally pull that on anything I want then as well. It can be literally, it will become a brand, and like I branched it out to t-shirts. I did a t-shirt back last year with it.
With like the Miami Vice type.
That kind of like the green and pink on here, the Miami Vice style font. And that was very much thanks to our friend Matt Wrist Black Dog Tattoos.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
He designed that for me.
I got stuff of him on me.
He's got bits, we all got some bits and bobs. So yeah, he designed that for me. This year now, I'm going to try and sort out another design as well. So I just want to just keep going with that a little bit as much as I can, and then who knows, just see what else comes my way then in the future.
Nice. So when we were saying about you, obviously the conversation happens with.
Sorry, how you design this like
what to do.
Do you want me to put it in the bin?
Yes, please. That would help, wouldn't it?
Fucking hell, man.
Mr. Bean.
Jesus wept.
Yeah. So when you say that when you have them conversations, deep conversations with clients and stuff like that, when it comes to the end of the day, you switch off, like switch off, close the door. Do you switch off? What sort of things then help you switch off? Sort of, I don't know, self-care.
Sort of a self-care kind of.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean. No, don't really. You haven't even sworn yet.
Oh, I made a conscious effort.
No. Everyone normally says, "Oh, fucking hell, can I swear?" That's what they normally do.
Self-care. I try my best to keep a healthy work-life balance. So I maintain them a lot. Like sometimes, like I've learned in the past, like if I overrun myself, that like very much affects my personality and my behaviour, things like that. But then at the same time, I'm obviously fortunate enough that, like, say I want to go on holidays, I can ramp up my work as well and put as much as I can make. I can make more if I want to, so then I will overload myself when it comes up to something if I need to make a bit more money. Yeah. But it was exercise is like obviously a big part. I was like in and out of exercise over the years. I used to be quite big into CrossFit, and that was really good for like de-stressing because it was just such an aggressive sport. But then I ripped my abdominal wall with a hernia, so I had to have an operation, so I don't do that anymore. Oh dear. But I've gone into jogging now, so I'm a runner too. I'm a jogger now. I'm a runner. No, I've been doing a little bit of running. It's lovely, to be fair. Just like
you two should talk. Because he
is
a runner.
I have a running podcast.
I am a.
Yeah, you can go on with Ryan Stevens and
good Lord,
Pills to Hills.
No, thank you. I'm all right.
Great name for a pod.
It is a good name for
Pills and Hills.
from Pills to Hills, because they were both big party boys. And now they go trail running.
That's a good name.
Yeah, that's free fucking plug. For you,
it is a free plug for you, right? Fitly.
So obviously exercise is like a big part. I just like doing all the normal things with like my wife, and we got 2 dogs. We love going for food.
Yeah,
you know, we just go out.
You are a bit of a foodie.
My food, like. That's how me and my wife. That's our thing is food. We're not big drinkers at all. We don't go out drinking, but we'll go out eating.
Okay.
Our out is
the language of love.
Eating.
Well,
it is the language of love.
To be fair,
you know.
But then it's just like spending time with friends and stuff like that. It's
just wholesome stuff. Isn't
it?
It's
just nice. Nothing. It's nothing too out of the ordinary. I just unwind. I know when work is off. Like I'm off, like I don't really reply to work stuff on the weekend. I'm quite strict with myself in that.
Yeah.
If I'm out here by midday on a Saturday and I'm not back till Tuesday, if you've messaged me 12:01, and lucky I might get back to you Monday night, like when I'm doing like my sort of catching up for the week kind of thing, because I like to. Like my wife deserves that time, to be fair, and I deserve that time out of work. Everyone else can finish their job and leave it.
Yeah.
So why can't I? Just because people can contact me doesn't mean I need to work 24/7 under the sun. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
Just before I get on to something that I think is going to be quite nice. What's your top 3 foods? Or food places even.
Food places.
You enjoy going.
I'd be honest, like, so me and my wife, we've just come back from America. We've just been around
Clang.
America for a couple of weeks.
A couple. Was it only the couple?
Just for 3 weeks.
Just the 3 weeks.
I discovered a place called Dave's Hot Chicken.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Which in Wales would be Dies Hot Chicken.
Dies Hot Chicken. Well, no, it's just a type of like a Nashville hot fried chicken tenders, and it was honestly the best thing I'd ever eaten. Like a lot of people who know me know I am a fucker for a chicken tender. Cam even bought my Secret Santa off Cam was a jumper that says chicken tender slut.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you know me, you know chicken tenders are my thing.
I had some chicken tenders on Sunday from Wingstop.
Because
I've got a Wingstop problem.
Wingstop
and if you'd like
is
to
dangerous.
sponsor, not the pod, but me, please do.
Oh, come on now.
Because I had I had 6 Wingstops in 2.5 weeks.
Wow. I had my first one last week.
Wingstop is
What rubs did you have?
Pardon?
Well, this is a raw podcast. What rubs did you have? What glaze or what?
So I had 2 boneless ones and 2 boned ones.
Okay.
So I had the on the bone there was the honey thing.
Oh, the new one, the new
the
flavour,
hot
the
honey,
hot honey glaze.
You're an encyclopedia of Wingstop now as well, and you've
That was
absolutely
nice.
absorbed everything to do with Wingstop.
Fucking
Like everything else, you take an interest
yeah,
to.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So that, and then they had the
Louisiana rub.
what's the Louisiana?
The Louisiana rub is special.
Is it
like
the
the
dry
Louisiana,
one? No, it's not the wet one. It's the dry one.
Yeah, it's quite
isn't it?
dry.
Dry, yeah, they had that one. That was nice.
And ranch. You got to have ranch. Because the ranch sauce is...
Wow, sauce, man.
I think I don't think
drizzling on me. You mentioned your wife, your other half.
Mm-hmm.
And you speak about her with such reverence and how special she is. Do you credit her with? Well, I think I've answered my own question really, because you kind of credited her with teaching you about mental health and kind of telling you who you needed to be at that point. Kind of how important is it to have someone like that kind of there?
Extremely, because it takes someone you fully respect and love to tell you, because that's the only person you're really going to listen to. If you don't love and respect the person telling you things, it's not really going to absorb, is it? I don't think, anyway. So yeah, she's completely changed my life, in all fairness. It just made me like a completely different person to what I was before we got together.
I was hoping for some tears, but he's a hard fucker. He just wants chicken now.
You know that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because and I think we, obviously, Leah's Leah. Leah is
Leah.
very important in all the right ways.
God, yes, definitely.
And Abby's all right. No,
Yeah, I keep saying my wife. My wife is named Alex, to be fair. Well, I can refer to her as Alex now and not just my wife.
Alex,
My wife.
fucking
When
ledge.
you got married, did you find it weird going from like, oh, my girlfriend, my partner, my missus, to saying my wife?
My wife.
I didn't. In fact,
I used to call
I
her my
really
wife anyway.
enjoyed it. I really enjoyed
My
it.
wife.
Kind of saying, my wife. Yeah, but I also aged by about 25, 30 years.
That's what I
Because
found. I
then-
just felt far more formal when
Yeah,
I was
'cause
like,
I'd
oh,
like-
me and my wife are doing something. And I was
Yeah.
like, "Huh?"
The one I struggle with is, my fiance and me. I'm like,
I never referred to Abby as my fiance.
no, me. I'm like,
ever.
me and my fiance. I'm like, oh,
But then
the
when I'd be
missus
at
then.
like a hotel, or if I was ringing like for some sort of utility bill, I was like,
My wife.
Well, my wife rang earlier, and I didn't find it strange.
Oh, no.
I
that
still-
transition to doing it.
I used
Like
to
if it had been my husband, that would have been a shock.
Like, I'm still fully aware of every time I say my wife in my head, I'm like, what?
And how long have you been married now?
It's 2.5 years now. It was October 2022 we got
Nice.
married.
I
In,
got married in October 2022.
what date?
17th.
24th.
Totally different.
Nice
dates.
off. Joint
2018 I got married.
Yes,
So
Jordan's
Beat you.
been on the marriage trail a lot longer.
a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yes. Feels like
2018. Is it?
2018. Yeah, I
Right.
guess. Keen.
Wow. That's what's you're closing in on 10 years then,
Closing in, huh?
of marriage.
Marriage, yeah.
How long have you been together?
2012 we met. So it's
13 years.
yeah, a long time.
That's
Good,
wild.
isn't it? And
How long have you and Alex been together?
We have been together. It'll be
Like officially.
9 years in November,
see
and
me-
that'll be 3 years married in October.
So our lives are pretty parallel because me and Abby have been together 9
like
years
with
and
the
married
same
for 3
person.
years, and I like chicken and you like chicken and we both like wrestling. And
you won't get rid of him now.
and yeah, I think
And we both suffer under camera.
and my father did spend some time in Aberdeen years ago. So who knows? We are no, I'm a year older than you.
No, that's fucked it then.
I'm a
Never
year
mind.
older than you, and I'm
Fucked it.
30. I'm 36 now.
Fucked it.
Yeah, 36. I am.
When do you turn 36?
I've
You would have been in the
turned- I
school.
turned 30.
Yeah, you would have been in the school year
Yeah.
above me. Yeah, I'm 36 in
I am
September. now.
on the road to 40.
Unlucky.
Won't get there.
No.
But I'll keep eating
Quite
chicken the way I am.
no.
I'll keep eating Wingstop.
But yeah, it's, do you want to wrap up?
There's a joke in there somewhere.
I know the gym's closed.
I
It's going to
know.
get weird in here now.
Yeah.
Um,
This is for the Patreons.
yeah, no, we haven't got.
Drop your trousers.
Right then, so something that we know, well, we normally do when we finish.
What just happened to you then? Do you have a stroke?
What would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Don't worry. Don't stress. Don't just calm down. It's fine. Just calm down. Chill out. The path will reveal itself. It'll unfold. Like, don't pressure yourself into too much too soon. And don't get caught up in everything. Like, one thing I think now is there's very much this, like, I'll be better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Constantly. But I think there's only so much you can push before something pushes back. So just calm down a little bit as well, is what I like to what I'd like to tell myself, and what maybe a lot of people need to know is just you can put the brakes on a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna overload yourself if you keep obviously striving for greatness is amazing. Obviously I want to do big things with the shop, but all in good time.
Yeah.
Don't rush
Don't
it.
worry, don't rush, don't overload yourself because you were going to burn out and you're just going to fuck yourself up.
Yeah, I'd even take what you said and even add a layer, when you're saying about, like tomorrow's got to be better than today. But almost like, yeah, but just remember you've got tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
You haven't got to
it
do
is,
it all
yeah.
today.
No.
Doesn't, yeah.
Because I think that's part of it. I think we live in that environment and that culture where you've got to deliver. You've got to be on your A game. You've got to be doing, because you see it and because it's on socials, and like we spoke briefly about, I had a conversation recently with someone who was telling me that I didn't have the right to be tired because I had a young child, because I chose to have a young child and they get up every morning at 4 to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, but it's a different type of tiredness. But it's almost like that thing, yeah, but I get up at 4 to the gym and then I film that to let you know I get up that time. And then I go to work and then I do this and I think we're surrounded by people's very full lives.
Yeah.
But I think it's the appearance of being a full life.
Yeah.
Whereas when you strip a lot of it away, like how fulfilled are you? So yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's like you mentioned burnout, and we've mentioned burnout in a couple of our episodes with different people. Like Luke, for instance, burnout when he was doing high rock stuff or fitness stuff. Talking to,
and also and it's something I've been learning about recently with burnout is the zone of delusion, which I'd never heard of before. But the zone of delusion is a segment just before you actually hit burnout, and it's that zone where you convince yourself, you're deluded enough to tell yourself, if I can just push through now, I'll be all right. I know this is really difficult. I know this stress is way too much for me, but if I can just do that extra bit more, I'll break for the barrier, and then it'll all be right. And newsflash is no,
barrier
you
shuts.
won't, because there'll always be something.
You haven't got that power to break through that.
But
barrier.
I hadn't heard of that concept.
No, so that's
until
a good
recently.
concept there.
But they call it being stuck in the zone of delusion, and they say that it's probably most people aren't self-aware enough to realize they're in it. And when someone tells you, you need to chill out.
Yeah.
That's probably where you're at. You're in that zone of delusion.
Yeah.
But you'll kind of push back a bit harder. No, I'll be fine. I just need to finish this report.
Yeah.
I just need to, do this one more task. Right? No, if you're tired and you've had a gutsful and you need to take 5 for your mental health, just chill out and take 5.
Yeah, exactly.
You coming out of haircut?
And coming up later, yes, Goon Barbers are on the Pan Industrial Estate in Merthyr. What's the Rival Fitness?
Rival Fitness.
Above Rival Fitness.
Rival
Unit
Fitness.
A2 Pant Industrial Estate, situated just above there. Like I said, Instagram tag, Goon Barbers. Drops a message, we've got a booking app, I'll answer any queries, anything like that. There's 3 barbers working here, 2 fantastic young barbers who I've brought along, Nathan and Cameron. Alright, Cameron's not young, but he's young in this game. But no, they're both thriving, doing really well. I'm so proud of what they are becoming now, and knowing that it's kind of like I'm helping them become and get into this industry and become something they want to be.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And I think it's a reflection on you as
and
well,
your part,
and the environment that you've created, that they've been able to do that. Because, I don't know about you with Olivia, but for me in Thailand, I need to trust whoever's cutting my son's hair. Because he's 18, 19 months old. I need to trust that person, in case he's jittery or he don't like it, but also that he's going to look all right because he's so young.
Yeah.
And I don't want the experience in a barbershop to be traumatic, and he turns into one of those kids and that, oh my God, you need your haircut, and he's like, you can't come at the door.
Yeah.
So I'd say you're doing a good job because you cultivated somewhere where I feel safe in bringing my son here, and I trust it when he comes here. So yeah,
brilliant.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
But thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's
great
really
chat.
enjoyed it.
Good, I'm glad. So this will be coming out soon.
Use that for the intro. Reel us, man.
Oh, real. We've got a few guests in the pipeline, I believe.
We do. I can't name any.
No. But we have got
we have
one including my wife, which is going to be a good one.
That's going to be interesting.
Yes.
Because she told me that I waffled in the beginning. So we'll see how long I can keep that intro going.
But no, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
Much appreciated.
And thank you again. Thank you so much for watching, listening. The latest episode is still on the old YouTube and Spotify.
They're all on there.
They're all
Every
on there,
episode.
exactly.
Go and listen to them, to the art's content, or go and watch them, or go and shit.
Everyone's shit.
That's me on my show.
Yeah.
Need chicken, man. And if you are the marketing executive of Wingstop,
Just one man, sponsored by Wingstop.
oh, it's just at Mark Abraham.
Mark Abraham is sponsored by Wingstop.
Just drop me a line.
Yes, give us a like, give us a subscribe, follow us on the old socials. That would be fantastic, and we shall see you again soon. Take care. Goodbye.